I no longer suffer from the symptoms of hemiplegic migraines since going onto the Lion diet, which is where you just eat beef, salt, and you drink water, and that is it. This has totally stopped them for me. I was getting them every fortnight at my worst back in 2023. I had over 10 years of hemiplegic migraines, and I have never had a period as long as this without one. This is remarkable. It has totally transformed my life. If you suffer from hemiplegic migraines, you know what it's like, how you retreat away, how you hide away indoors with sunglasses on, with the curtains drawn all the time, because any lights hurt your eyes, dazzle you. You know what it's like when you start to feel something going numb, that fear that you feel, that it's all about to kick off again. Or when your vision isn't working properly, you know what that's like. I've not had any of that for over a year. So I want to share that with you, that if you're going through hemiplegic migraines, try the Lion diet. Go to the proper website and learn from there. Because when you Google any of this stuff, you just get out of rubbish, which is what, I just showed in the last video. So yeah, definitely give it a go. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's go through the symptoms. So I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're probably someone who's new to suffering from hemiplegic migraine. So let's see what AI gives us back. Weakness or paralysis in one side of the body, along with other typical aura symptoms like visual disturbances, speech difficulties, and sometimes confusion. I had all of those. So weakness in one side of the body and the paralysis, I would get my left hand was normally the one, but it did change. Sometimes it was the right hand, but I'd usually get my left hand. I'd get the tingling and the numbness in. I would get it in the left side of the face. I would get it in my lips, in my gums, my tongue sometimes. And that was everywhere that I could think of that I would get it. The visual disturbances, yeah, I got the zigzag lines. I got the blind spots. Trying to think what else. Most of the different things that people talk about. Speech difficulties, a big one I had, slurred words was very common, but also I used to have an issue where I would begin to say one word and then say the end of another word, and I'd mesh them together. So one I've shared before was I was trying to tell someone I had a stiff neck, and I said I had a stiff neck. It was these types of things where the words would mesh together, but more commonly it was just I couldn't think of the words. I could think of them, but I couldn't think of how to say them. I knew what I was trying to say, but I didn't know how to say them. This is what I'd often get. Confusion, yeah, definitely, a lot of confusion. Another thing that's not mentioned here that I would often get is I'd be trying to read and I wouldn't be able to read the words. It wouldn't be moving, but I wouldn't be able to see it like I can just read this here. Key symptoms of hemiplegic migraine. I wouldn't be able to see these words after. I can't explain it. I've never heard anyone else explain it, but there was something going on there. Another thing I started getting in 2023 was sometimes I would look at like an S, for example, and I would see it, half of it again underneath. So it looked like there was sort of 3 curves to it instead of the 1, 2 there. There'd be a third. I started to get that in 2023 as well, which I never noticed before, and I figured that was just probably just how the whole issue was just getting worse and worse, which is what happens when you don't deal with the root cause, which is what no one seems to ever want to address. They just want to give you pills. So let's see what else there is. Numbness, tingling, pins and needles. We spoke about all of that. The dizziness and the vertigo, I never got this early on. I did actually a couple of times, but for the most part I didn't. But then as this got worse and worse for me, when I was not dealing with the root cause and it just kept getting worse, I did start to get this. I did start to get dizziness and vertigo as well. I also had the vomiting. I didn't have this very often, but I remember one time, the worst hemiplegic migraine I ever had, I ended up vomiting from it. So that's what the AI overview has given us. Let's see what Cleveland Clinic say. The symptoms are muscle weakness on one side of the body. Yep, definitely got that. Even to this day, while my body continues to heal, the left side of my arm is considerably weaker than the right. It's very similar to a stroke, isn't it? You know, you get the numbness in the face, numbness in the hand. It's very, very similar to a stroke. And yeah, it definitely affects the muscles in you. Well, for me, in my left arm. Blind spots, flashing lights. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Flashing lights is another one. Double vision. I think this might be what I was getting at with the reading. It might have been that double vision. That might be the way to describe it. Speech, fatigue, confusion. I had chronic fatigue for years, never understood why, never understood what was going on, why there were people older than me who could stay up all night drinking, get up the next day and work and be okay. I would lose 1 hour's sleep and I would feel like I was going to die. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, that's about it for that. Let's just have a look at any other websites, see if there's anyone else giving a good explanation of the different symptoms. Weakness in one side of the body, headache, yeah. A lot of pain in the head. It would move for me. It wasn't always the same place. But one thing I did almost always get is very bad pain in the back left side of the neck. I used to get that a lot, even when I weren't getting hemiplegic migraines, but especially when I was. I remember one time laying in bed, this was back when I lived with my parents, and I remember literally trying to pull my hair out just to try and get the pain. But that was in the head. The pain was in the head at that point. Vision changes, numbness, tingling, trouble speaking. Fever, never got a fever. Well, I never checked my temperature, but as far as I'm aware, I never. So I'm not really sure about that. Coordination, yeah. Sensitivity to light and sound, yes. So this is a weird one because the light is a big part of it, as you know, probably. That when you get bright lights, it dazzles you and you get that stays in your vision for a long time. That's what I used to get. It would stay there for ages. That's why I wore sunglasses all the time, is because it would dazzle me for ages. Even at night time, we used to wear sunglasses because of that. But the sound is another interesting one because I never knew it was affecting me. Now, it wasn't something that would really set off all the symptoms, but it was something that, again, I noticed I was a lot more sensitive to than others. There was one time I was walking along and a motorbike come by and it was really loud. And I remember that really went through me. And the person I was with, it didn't bother them at all, but it really did bother me. So that's another symptom there. Whereas I don't seem to have that issue anymore. I've been in lots of places that are very loud and been absolutely fine. I was at a conference last year and they were playing all this music. It was quite a crazy scenario actually, because it was a marketing conference and it was almost like a nightclub in there for some reason. It was just a bunch of nerds just like waiting to take notes on, you know, how to run ads better or whatever. And it's like boom, boom, all these flashing lights. And I thought, oh no, but I was absolutely fine with it. Didn't do anything. Because, like I say, I've reversed this problem through diet. So that's all the stuff that they're giving back. Let's have a look at one more because this is actually giving me some ideas. Let's have a look at WebMD, what they say. Short-term trouble with muscle control and sensation. Throbbing pain, often in one's head. Pins and needles feeling. Moving from your hand up your arm. I never got it go up the arm. I don't ever remember that. I just remember it always staying in the hand. But maybe you are. Sounds like that's what it can do to some people. Lots of balance, vertigo, nausea, vomiting. Okay, that's all much of the same. Zigzag lines, double vision, blind spots, sensitivity to light, sound, and smell. I don't recall ever having an issue with smell personally. Mixing words. Interesting. I've never seen that written before. I didn't notice that. Cool. Trouble remembering a word? Hell yeah. Slurred speech, confusion, drowsiness, loss of consciousness. Interesting. Let's do one more. I mean it this time. Symptoms. Okay, there's a lot to read here, but let's do it. Like typical migraine with aura, hemiplegic migraines attacks, compromise. Oh my goodness, maybe we can't read it. Like typical migraine with aura, hemiplegic migraine attacks comprise an aura phase and a headache phase. However, unlike most migraine types, hemiplegic migraine does not have a predictable pattern. Attacks and each phase of attack can vary in sensitivity and duration. Usually a headache phase follows the aura phase, but it might not. Nah, see, that wasn't it for me. For me, what would normally happen, so I would get numbness and tingling quite a lot, but for me, it would often start with the aura. That would happen and I'd be like, oh no, and I'd be like, please don't, please don't, please don't. And then I'd say about 99% of the time, then it would happen and then I would get the numbness and stuff like that. So the sign I had was the aura straight away. Some sort of visual disturbance would be the first thing. I mean, I had these other symptoms all the time anyway, for the most part, you know, the numbness and the tingling kept coming and going. And it wasn't a case of just like, you learned to live with it because you knew that that could very well be something that's about to kick off into this major, major issue. Headache can precede aura or not develop at all. I would often get headaches without it going to a full hemiplegic migraine, that's true. Characterised by mild pain, severe weakness, and in the next can be reversed. Aura phase often lasts longer than it does for typical migraine with aura. It usually lasts an hour, but it can last several days up to a week to fully resolve, often outlasting the headache phase itself. Okay, I never had that, and I feel terrible for you. If you had that for a week, goodness me, that must have been hell. No, for me, the whole thing would last for 4.5 hours as a minimum. Around 4 hours and 4.5. Can't remember now, because it's been such a long time since I had one. But I remember noticing that it always was at least that long. Sometimes it went on for a lot longer, but it was always at least that long. I don't think the aura used to last as the whole time. No, it often did actually, but not every time. Not every time it didn't. Not every time. I was just thinking back to this time where I had it before, and it went on for ages, like absolutely ever. Because I remember it got back, I was in my room, and then eventually I'm like, I've been here for so long, I'll come downstairs. This was years ago when I lived with my parents. And I had my eyes closed, and I was just walking around like this, just pacing back and forward, because I didn't want to just be in a room on my own anymore, even if I was like just going to be dragging everyone down by being like the sick person. I just wanted to be around other human beings while I was walking back and forward. And but I remember that had been absolutely hours that I'd had it, and I still had the aura then, hence, you know, the eyes closed and all that. So the body phase, so this is all much of the same. Bright lights causing blind spots, double vision, flashing lights, bright shimmering jagged lines, foggy vision. Yeah, foggy vision's a good definition as well, give him that. And loss of 1/2 of the visual field. I'm not sure about that. I remember there being this thing where it was almost like, I believe it's called a vignette in photography, where it was almost like the peripheral area of the vision there wasn't really much, I don't know. Can't describe it. Maybe it was, no, I don't know. But I remember there being something going on like that. Pins and needles. Slurring or mixing words. Trouble remembering words. Being unable to understand or express speech. Yes. Having problems with writing. Not sure if I tried, to be honest. Reading, yes. Listening, no. Never had issues with listening. I could always hear what people were saying and understand what they were saying. It was just trying to communicate that back. So those are the symptoms. Hopefully you found this video interesting. As I say, if you are suffering from hemiplegic migraines, do not overlook the lion diet, because that worked, and that's why I'm making these videos, because I want to get it out there, because I know that this problem is absolute hell. I know that for the most part, they've got no options. They've got nothing to actually solve the problem, because they don't care about fixing the root cause. They just care about giving you pills so that you shut up and go away. And this isn't what I want for you. I want you to deal with the root cause and actually heal your body. Your life can get very, very good afterwards, like mine has, if you stick with this. So that's why I'm making a video. Good luck. Wish you all the best.